Gayle Saunders here with Football Kelly. We are fourthandjohn.com. We are talking the big matchup against the New York Giants. Our beloved Philadelphia Eagles have a, a big test on our hands. Kelly, how are you feeling?
We definitely do, Gail. I would consider this a make it or break it type of game for the Eagles, and it's set up in a way that doesn't really favor the Eagles, in my opinion. A short week against an NFL, NFC rival, one that was very competitive against us when we were doing very well last year. Um, so they know how to operate against our defense. Definitely put up some points against us last year um, when other teams struggled to do so. We're coming on very slowly on offense to the point where you can't really give them a lot of credit on offense for this coming game because you just haven't seen it on film in game
Yeah,
time this season.
it's tough. I mean, we're not the same team that we were on third down as we were last season. We're not the same team who's been converting in the red zone like last season. We're hoping to get that rhythm, that cohesiveness back on the offensive side of the ball. But like you said, the Giants have played the Eagles well. Eli Manning has had his big games. Passed for close to 800 yards or over 800 yards in his last two games against us. Are you concerned that Eli has his breakout game this season against the Birds?
I'm worried that this game could potentially get them off the ground and start running, or could completely deflate them, tear apart this locker room, and the good mojo that they had last year could kind of go away because they didn't really have to experience a lot of losing together. And if they go on a 3 game losing streak, one involving an NFC East team that gets that Giants team to the same record we have right now, um, like we would be tied with them and they would have a better record than us because they beat us. That's really tough for the Eagles to come back from, in my opinion. I think they're a strong locker room right now. I think that they're in fighting mode and ready to take on the challenge of getting back to what they did last year. But there is so much riding on this game, and there are a lot of challenges to beating this Giants team. I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, the Giants and the NFC East don't look very strong, but they're getting Olivier Vernon back this week. They have Ogletree, who came over from the Rams in the offseason. And honestly, I thought the linebacker position was probably one of their weakest positions outside of offensive line. And he's a great addition to that defense that the Eagles are going to have a lot of challenges to face, not only um, with their own self inflicted injuries on offense, but this Giants defense could really attack them um, and make this a really challenging thing to overcome.
Yeah, and I think the one thing about the Giants, they've done pretty decent in coverage. I think they're around like uh, averaging around like 230 yards a game. But they haven't really the pass rush has been lacking. But uh, Olivia Vernon is actually he's been out, but hopefully he doesn't come alive this week. Moving into this game, I feel a little bit more comfortable about our defense than I do our offense. I just haven't seen it from our offense. Um, and now, do you have more concerns about our offense or defense going into the
That's a
Giants?
really tough question for me to answer, especially when you look at the different matchups that we have in this game. You've got Barkley in the backfield for the Giants. You've got OBJ and Shepard and a really solid receiving offensive team. But they do have their weaknesses that I think the Eagles could take advantage of on defense. That makes it a little bit more um, of a confidence booster for us. But the thing that is really concerning to me is how much we've been turning over the ball on offense. It's really hard to ignore how that really has impacted these games we've been going through. The Eagles have turned over the ball in the Vikings game, in the Titans games. These are game changing plays that one ended up as a touchdown for the Vikings. The other was 3 points when they got a field goal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Titans game, you know, we turned over the ball and we, weren't getting the points that we were driving down the field, you know, getting ready to score. And then the offense gets completely derailed off of these dumb, unnecessary game changing plays that we used to be able to, protect Wentz and create
Yeah.
opportunities for the run. But we're constantly throwing the ball, it seems, in the last few games and not establishing the run game. So there's a lot more questions, I feel, from this time last year on our offensive side than there are on the defensive side.
I think defensively, I feel confident in us against run. I feel like this defense has got to, they have a sitting duck this week in Eli Manning. Although he has the quick release, I feel comfortable in the way that Fletcher Cox has played up the middle to cause some disruption there. I mean, I think that's key. Like if they can get to Eli early and often, and bring the Eli face out. As long as once you see the Eli face, you're doing something right. But
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go back to last season and when those double moves started really kicking in, it was the Giants game. That's when the second Giants game of the season is where you saw uh, those guys start killing double moves, and ever since then you've
Mm-hmm.
actually been seeing double moves like all the time. So hat tip to Eli and the Giants for uncovering a nice little gem. Because we are in Philadelphia are
Agreed.
tired of the double moves. Now, talking about moving toward the Jalen Mills and the secondary. Any concerns there uh, with OBJ lined up on a Jalen Mills, perhaps?
You know, I said on Twitter the other day that I might feel a little disappointed and I might be a little mad at Jalen Mills. Um, but overall, I still love him. I love the way he competes. I know that he might have a really terrible series and he might come back at the very end of the game and make the play because he doesn't let things bother him. He doesn't let things linger. He will literally constantly fall for it when a player does a sluggo, uh, but he won't let that get into his head and ruin his opportunities in the future plays of the game. But OBJ, if you watched last week against the Panthers, he's playing some of the best football I've seen him play, and that's saying a lot because he's a really talented receiver. Giants put up a lot of points on a really talented Panthers defense away last week. Of
Mm.
course, it's a short week. And then on top of that, Thursday Night Football has shown a trend of not having much defense. Um, People seem to just forget how to cover, and our secondary has its own issues going on right now. Not only do we not have Ronald Darby, we have Rodney McLeod.
Yeah.
We don't have Corey Graham as his backup at the safety position because he's already been ruled out. So,
Corey Graham's been ruled out.
am I breaking news to you?
You're 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 breaking news right now.
I'm
Really?
so sorry. Yes, he's been ruled out
Hamstring?
for the game on Thursday. We have Barnett back apparently, hopefully. Um, but the secondary can only take so much, in my opinion, because we need to be able to support Mills. He shouldn't be ever on an island by himself because I think that you should know from his tendencies he needs somebody over the top, especially when he's covering such a shifty, explosive player like OBJ. So, in a long explanation of why I'm dealing with this matchup particularly, there's a lot that goes into it. I think Mills will show on certain occasions that he can defend the top wide receiver on any team. And I think that Mills will definitely be tested by Manning and for Shermer and his offense. But overall, my biggest concern isn't just Mills versus OBJ. It's OBJ versus our entire defense. I mean, that guy is literally all over the field just making plays, and it's hard to deny him, especially when other wide receivers across the league have been able to make such explosive big plays against our defense in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and you talk about explosive plays and across the way, as in across the aisle. You have Sterling Shepard, a guy who's had two big plays in both of the Eagles games last season. He had the long one that he broke in the home opener against the home game against the Giants last season. Then he had the crossing route that he took to the house last season at the Giants Stadium. So I think with that attention played to OBJ, I think Sterling Shepard is a guy who can slip through the cracks. And then you have Evan Ingram, who's actually missed the last two games with, I believe, it was a knee strain of some sort. He's coming back, so they have their.
Nope.
He's not coming back?
He's been ruled out too.
Oh, right. I mean, you were breaking news. I
should have told you this before we started. Yes.
So
Evan Ingram
okay,
is ruled out for tomorrow.
is this all right? Okay. I had just read something right before we went on and said, okay, so I'm feeling better about that. Anytime that Evan Ingram's not in, that's good for us. Okay, prediction. Your prediction for this game?
I'm sadly going to say the Eagles aren't going to win this game.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think there's a lot stacked against this team. I literally never go against the Eagles in projections and predictions because I'm a fan at heart and an optimist. But you see what the Giants were able to do against a very talented Panthers defense last week. And they put up 30 points in that game. The Eagles haven't come close to putting up those numbers on offense, unfortunately, on the board. The red zone offense has been not great, and I just can't give them my confidence because we're not creating turnovers enough on defense. We're creating too many turnovers on offense, and they're going to have to prove me wrong that they deserve to win this game. So, it hurts me. It hurts me so much because, I don't want to say it. But I'm going to say it's Giants 30, Eagles 24.
Interesting. That's funny. I had recently
it's
done a video with Braxton. I have the Eagles at 31, and
Okay.
the Giants at 24. And we didn't even talk about this. So that's funny
Okay.
how our scores are pretty eerily
Yeah.
close. But I respect the you keeping it real. Like this
Mhm.
is what we do at Fourth of John. We keep it real. Uh, for me, I feel like the Eagles. Uh, this is the breakout game. The game
I'm
where,
hoping it is.
yeah, I'm hoping they kick up the tempo. I'm hoping that they, commit to the run. We want the Eagles to be committed to the run, like they haven't been yet this season.
They
Hopefully
have
that
not.
steps. Hopefully that steps up. But I think they're being embarrassed the
Mhm.
last couple
And
weeks,
you know
and,
what I
and
will say? I need, and I've told you this before, I need to see Carson Wentz. I know that he's a very faithful man, and a very put together man. I need to see him take this offense by the horns, by the wings, if you will, and grab a hold of these guys and be that leader, because I
yeah,
know he's a young guy. He's in his third year, but we need to see the transition from the rookie quarterback to our franchise quarterback for the long term. And right now, he is playing some great football after returning from a crazy injury, very significant knee injury. And for those guys not to put in all the extra work to help him, to stop him from getting hit, to create opportunities for him to shine, it drives me nuts.
yeah, it
And
does.
I think that if you look at him and his rehab and the comeback videos that they're making and all this extra noise around it, I want to see a guy like Johnson and Peters on the line just throw defenders down. Um, Obviously, not getting these penalties called on them and doing these dumb things to create turnovers. When you're in the inside the five, like just
Yeah,
just prove to me that you guys want it as badly as I know Carson Wentz wants it. And when
yeah,
that happens, I'm going to be saying I think the Eagles are winning 60 points to like 15, because he deserves better from our team. And the fact is that many, many fans know that they can play better.
yeah.
They're
I
just
think
not
I,
doing
I
it.
I just think on last night's episode of Fourth and John, episode 72. You guys got to check it out. But I was talking about Carson being on another level, and the rest of his other players are playing at this other level where you want to see players exceed their potential. Like obviously Smallwood isn't a world beater, but he's been playing out of his frame for a little bit. He's not doing it in the blocking
He's
game,
he's putting
pass
he's
blocking
putting in
game.
the extra effort to get another yard. You see him driving his feet. I see.
Right,
I agree with you completely on that. Smallwood has been one of those guys who's actually shown he's fighting for a roster spot every game that he gets his opportunities.
right.
And I think that a lot of these guys aren't putting in the extra work that they used to put in during the week, because once you get to game day, you are what you've prepared for.
Yeah,
I want to see the end product be that these guys have learned from these mistakes that they've made on themselves, because the Titans aren't better than the Eagles. The Eagles aren't just barely beating the Colts. The Eagles aren't losing at home to the Vikings that performed the other day. What in the world are you guys doing Monday through today? Because you're playing tomorrow night. It's a short week. What are you guys doing to put in the work to put out the best product on Thursday night? I need to be convinced, because my team hasn't been proving me that they want it right now.
well, I mean, Kelly is definitely brought the fire, y'all. I think Kelly is. This is the most fired up that I've seen Kelly. Like she's ready to get the clipboard out or write up some schemes, like because
Mm-hmm.
Kelly is fired up, and I think I'm feeling I'm feeling what you're saying, and I'm feeling that this is the breakout. I think it's the movie Stella got her groove back. This is where the Eagles get their groove back. I think
I'm hoping that it happens the way you're talking about it. That's I'm hoping my projection is so wrong and the Eagles just blow them out and everything just starts clicking again. Uh, but you know how division games go sometimes, and
yeah.
it's a short week away. It's not ideal for a struggling
Well,
offense.
I mean, Kelly, she dropped it like it's hot. But that's all for us. Kelly, let everyone know where they can find you on Twitter.
You guys can find me at football_Kelly. And if you see me at the tailgate, you can walk up and say, "Are you Football Kelly or just Kelly?"
And you can find me at Eagle Sessions on Twitter. I think I think we got a big game this Thursday. Me, E-Rock, and Trox, and a couple other guys are going to be there live to see this big W. Um, I mean, that's all for us here, but we are fourthandjohn.com, and we will see you guys soon.